Aloha, Wahinis. Guys, I don't want your dollar a month on Patreon because, frankly, I think we both know that one, I don't deserve it, and two, I would just spend it on whiskey and ladies of negotiable affection. When I see a comic with a little black girl on the cover, I get excited because I know it's going to be super racist. When I see women on the cover, the comics are almost always racist and sexist. It's pretty much a rule. If you see a Muslim on the cover, it's going to be Christophobic and racist, sexist, and pretty much all the above. I saw this comic with the blonde and red hair girls on the cover, and I was a little confused because they are women, and comics usually treat women as if they were slow children without any agency. But they are women of European descent, so they are the evil oppressors for the sins of things that other people did. But when I saw the title Lab Raider, I knew what the comic was going to be. Women's comics, when they're written by people of European or censored descent, follow a certain pattern of extreme racial hatred and violence towards men of European origin. The comics are so full of straw man arguments that they should have their own category called straw man comics. The comics have to bend over backwards because whether you look at American or global crime statistics, how shall I say this? It's not the beautiful people of the light who are violent or committing crime. But most everyone knows this already. That's one of the reasons it's so fun to roast these comics. They are full of the most racist, anti-Euro, anti-male hatred. You read them and notice all the bad people look like they came from German central casting. They all have blonde or red hair. But when you pick up a newspaper and you see that Juan, Jamal, or Pedro are the ones actually doing the bad acts, so what's the deal? Why are comics lying to kids? Why is there so much anti-white racial hatred propaganda aimed at children? To understand this, you have to look at the writers, editors, the comic companies, and also the online media like CBR, Bleeding Cool, right, and the rest. Who controls these groups? Or in another way, do you think you're going to find many MAGA hat-wearing Christians working in these places? Will you find many American flags in their Twitter profiles? No, of course not. There is no equal employment opportunities for the Christians or the people of the light, or anyone who votes Republican. The goal of a certain group of people on the left is to dehumanize the people of the light, so they can destabilize and destroy their nations. I mean, this isn't even tinfoil hat talk anymore. Take one look at Europe and America and Canada. So just by reading the title of Lab Raider and seeing the German and Irish girl on the cover dressed as communists, you know where the comic is going. I want you to guess if the antagonists will be Chinese scientists or literally any group other than blonde men who look like they just flew in from Austria. Guys, you know how the story goes. Who treats animals the worst? The Chinese, and really all the Asian world in general. There's actually a dog festival in China. I think it's called the Yulin Dog Festival. You don't want to know any more than that, but it's pretty bad. Anyway, who clubs baby seals? The Indians and Canadian and Alaskan Indians. They club baby seals. Literally, that's what they're famous for: trapping, killing, and skinning animals, all types of animals. They club them so they don't damage the fur. And they used to do it to people too, but that doesn't fit the narrative. I don't understand why comics don't just tell the truth. Well, Bianca, you effing idiot, it's because they hate the beautiful people of the light. Oh, yeah, I guess that is pretty simple to understand. Comics will tell a story involving drug dealers, and the drug dealer will be a blonde guy. Even kids reading this are looking around wondering what the hell is going on. Because if you find a blonde guy dealing crack, then look for the unicorn that he rode in on. And really, you should just leave that guy alone because he is probably the toughest guy on earth. Thank God for social media, because when you see these anti-Euro, anti-male writers, editors, and companies, just look at their social media. You will quickly learn all you need to know about them. They loathe European people, but especially German and English people. It's why the evil people in comics always have blonde or red hair. The propagandists really want you to know that they are German or at least Western Europeans. They don't want a dark-haired, dark-eyed person because then the writers might get called racist. This comic is weird until you think of it for a second. The seal hunters are your standard European guys, which is absolutely ridiculous. But it's the kind of horse stuff straw man you expect. What is a little tricky to understand is why the protagonists are also red and blonde. It's because while it's true that they are the protagonists, they aren't really good people. They are violent criminals who destroy property and hurt people. The publishers are in a tricky position here because their number one priority is European people must be defamed at all costs. And if they used two violent criminal, say African American girls, the woke reader would be confused because when it comes down to it, they are destroying property and interfering with research that would save human life. It's a bit morally ambiguous. So the creators just made everyone of European origin so the reader would know that they could hate them all. Should I even look at their Twitters or DuckDuckGo image search their names? I know what I would find, and I am already in trouble with YouTube. And looking at these evil people, it's kind of depressing. I don't know how Zach does it. I suspect that he probably drinks a lot. The thing is, when Zach reviewed comics, he was mostly doing more mainstream comics, Marvel and DC. Sometimes Image. I think this is Black Magic or Black Masks or Boom. Sometimes they'll do. I'm doing these off-brand comics where the racism is way more extreme. Okay, so you see this cover, and it's the island of Dr. Moreau, but you see the two Antifa girls, the two communists with the blonde and red hair, and that should throw you off right off the bat because when you see, at least they have approved body types, A cups and B cups. Usually you would see Latinas or African girls doing this kind of stuff. But the reason is they are criminals. Look, they're breaking into a lab. They're destroying property. In one of the comics, they, it shows them like freeing the animals, but where are they taking the animals? Those animals need care and treatment for the rest of their lives. So I'm not sure if they're just killing them or what. So then the lab has to go get more animals. Good job, guys. Yeah, you're not going to stop animal research. So they're doing all this property destruction. So they are not, they're anti-heroes in the sense, but usually when people say anti-heroes, it's kind of like the hero is kind of dark and mysterious and cool like Batman. But these chicks, they're not dark and mysterious. They're just, they're destroying server farms and millions of dollars of equipment. Though usually these have halon systems. They don't have fire hoses. So I'm not quite sure where you get the fire hose to destroy the system. And this is kind of silly. The reason these multi-million-dollar buildings aren't often destroyed is because the alarm systems are freaking incredible. And there's just redundant alarms. And if you've ever worked in any of these buildings, if you enter your code in incorrectly, the police will be there in like 3 minutes to check your ID. So, this is why these buildings are not just destroyed. Okay, so that was bad enough. You see the two girls. And then they come to this. These are seal hunters who look like Vikings, I guess. Alaskan Canadian natives hunt seals. This is so fucking ridiculous to see this kind of thing. You want to make a story about hurting animals and about the seals, but instead of using two native Indians like a normal person would do, they just can't bring themselves to do it. The thing is, even kids are reading this and they're looking at this and saying, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. These two white guys from Central Casting, they're not clubbing seals. None of that makes sense. The natives are clubbing seals. Oh, and then they just can't help gilding the lily. The dude's he's married, and so they're all talking about how he's married and he's going to cheat on his wife with this stupid little girl. None of this makes sense. This is just I can't say a lot of words on YouTube anymore, but I'm not long for the platform anyway. They just, every opportunity, they have to bend over backwards and create opportunities to make the white people the bad guys. The two girls, okay, this is basically the story. These red-haired guy, bad. Blonde girl, bad. White guy bad. And where's the other girl? Oh, the red hair girl driving is also bad. This is just retarded. Sorry for the R word. YouTube's not cool on that. None of this makes sense. None of the story makes sense. The extreme. Okay, they get to the house. She pulls out. Obviously, these guys are trying to go for a struggle snuggle because that's. Believe it or not, white guys actually do not commit a whole lot of struggle snuggles. It is. It's the other groups that I can't mention on YouTube, or else they'll just destroy the channel. These guys aren't the ones who are hurting you. You know, they say that phrase, it's like one in so many people in college, girls in college are getting struggle snuggled. First of all, that's a lie. But of the girls who are getting assaulted, it's not guys who look like this. And I'll leave it at that. It's, well, that's enough. Anyway, so she pulls out a gun. She pulls out her 9, her finger on the trigger, pistol whips the dude with her finger on the trigger, which would probably result in her pulling the trigger. She's got the hammer back. And then this extreme anti-white, bizarre racial hatred and violence. External hammer cocked. I can't tell if the finger's on the trigger. Blonde girl putting the phallic symbol in the white guy's mouth. The thing is, I don't know how much of this I can say, but the people who are writing these books and publishing these books, I won't say it. I just won't say it. Okay, anyway, like they said, so the Indians, they club baby seals so you don't damage the fur. So they say that these are the tools with which they club the baby seals. They might be the tools that you skin them and pull the fur off, but you're not beating the defenseless animal to death. And these two white guys are not beating seals. She pulls out a 223 or an M4 or something. You don't need that to be a trapper. You don't shoot the animals because you don't make holes in the fur. You just use snare traps or box traps or whatever the Canadian trappers are using. But most importantly, the trappers don't look like this at all. They're Indians. They're brown-skinned Indians, Eskimos, Inuits. None of this makes sense. This is just bizarre hatred by a certain group of people. Oh, God. Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh, my God. Okay, this is her ex-boyfriend who, of course, is on dope. He's a pillhead. He's red hair, red or blonde hair. I can't quite tell. Got the menthol in his haircut. He's on probably painkillers because white people are. There's this myth that white people are taking painkillers. Look, he ODs in the bathroom on painkillers, right? That's not true. It's people of European descent are not the most likely people in America to have a drug problem. I can't say who is, but I think you can probably take a guess. It's not people with blonde hair or red hair. This is just going towards a very, very dark place. I got into this once in a prior video, and I left the video up for a day. It got a lot of views and for my small channel, and I took it down because there were too many dog whistles in it. So I'm just going to stop here. All right, guys. Like I said, I think next month or in a couple months, these kind of channels are going to go away. So we'll be on alternative video sharing platforms, like BitChute. And we're going to have a whole lot more free speech. Or in DLive, too. I'll get on DLive, too, do some live streams. So I hope to see you guys over there. It should be weird. It's going to be weird having free speech and not having true free speech on DLive and BitChute. It's going to be a strange experience. All right, guys, it has been fun. And we'll carry on for a few more weeks. I will see you guys next episode, hopefully.